Roscoe. How you doing?
Kappa.
Welcome, everyone, to Ballers to Balding, where, as always, we're going to have some strong takes and weak follicles. If you're new here, please like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, Spotify, because every follow brings Ross one step closer to hair restoration and general peace of mind. How you doing, big guy? How's it going?
I feel good. You
Yeah?
know, last time I came on, I'd done some manscaping.
Yeah.
And today I took a shot of Metamucil.
Yeah,
And
nice.
so we got about 30 minutes based on the way things move to finish this.
All right.
But
well, I got to say, we're at that age. We're at that age. I heard a lot about people made a lot of comments about your manscaping. But today we're not going to go over that. We're going to talk mostly Olympics. We'll touch on the Celtics a little bit. And we're going to start off right away with our douchebag of the week. So this is douchebag of the week, Olympic edition.
Get to it.
This is Olympic edition. All right.
Woo!
And mine is so easy. The first one, Olympic ice dancing judge Jezebel Dubois of France. Come on. And I heard that name. The name doesn't even sound like a judge. It sounds like a villain from a Fast and Furious movie. Jezebel Dubois. She's the one who locks Vin Diesel up in the warehouse and steals all his cars in Act 2. Anyways, for those who didn't hear about this, the U.S. skaters, Madison Chock and Evan Bates, who are totally heavy favorites, married couple, sweethearts, they go out and they absolutely crush their final routine. Crowds losing their mind. Parents are crying. NBC is cutting the montage. And then all of a sudden the scores come up and one judge is basically like, not feeling it, you know. Can you? I always hate it when judges are determined a sporting event. Can you imagine the Super Bowl if it ended and then some random woman with a scarf and a baguette strolls out in the field and is like, yeah, I don't really love the touchdown celebrations, so Patriots win. We would frickin' lose our minds. We'd storm the field. There'd be congressional hearings. The FBI would arrest Tom Brady for some reason. And look, nothing against France, right? Great wine, elite vacation spot, but this felt like the most French thing ever. Every other judge had the Americans either winning or kind of neck and neck. And this hack puts them 8 points behind the French skaters, who of course wind up winning the gold. And the worst part is she's done it a million times. Always favors the French skaters. It's not even bias. It's more like her side hustle at this point. So congratulations, Jezebel Dubois. You've united America, confused the internet, and reminded everyone why the only people who really truly hype the French are the French. You are my douchebag of the week. She's a douchebag.
I got to tell you. Great call. You know, I love the French. I love French fries. I like the French kiss.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, any country where your greatest actor is Gerard Depardieu, I think you really got to question what's going on there. So I totally support
I hate sports where judges determine the winner.
Of course.
It's not like a sport. It's like a reality show. It's like Dancing with the Stars on Ice. You know what I mean? It's not what the hell? It's frustrating.
It's inherently subjective.
Yeah. All right, buddy.
All right.
You pick one.
So my douchebag of the week, this was a very easy week to pick douchebags. I don't know what it is about the Olympics, but it brings out the douchiness in many different people. My douchebag of the week is a Norwegian biathlete. So just to make sure our listeners know what a biathlete is, it's cross-country skiing where you shoot at targets. And I'm sure that the ancient Greeks were really thinking about that when they created the Olympics.
Exactly.
Right? The biathletes. All right. Anyway, the name of my douchebag is, I'm sorry to those Norwegians who are going to get this pronunciation wrong, Sturla Holm Legrid, or Legrid. So Sturla wins the bronze medal in the biathlete. Good for him. And he's then being interviewed on live television. And during the interview, while talking about how happy he is to win the bronze, he switches gears and says, 6 months ago, I met the love of my life and I cheated on her. And then he talks about how sad he is that he's lost the love of his life because he cheated on her. And he said he was doing that in hopes of getting her back. Okay. Number one, he could also be idiot of the week, but he's the douchebag of the week because what he does with this stupid move is he takes down 4 different people. Number one, he takes down himself. He looks like a complete idiot. Who cares? It's totally irrelevant to the actual biathlete competition. Number two, and more importantly, he takes away the attention from his gold medal winning teammate, who was also Norwegian. And what he did, by the way, is by making this into this huge deal, everyone's talking about him and not the gold medal winner. And just to show you the contrast, the actual gold medal winner, what did he say in his post interview? He was talking about how much the gold medal meant to him and how it was also for him and their recently deceased teammate. So that's what he's talking about, while this other douchebag's talking about this chick he two-timed. His ex, number three, his ex, he completely humiliates her 6 months ago. And then he says, I'm going to make up for it by humiliating her again in front of millions of people. And then last, fourth, all right, this is the quadruple douche. He also humiliates the girl that he cheated with. And the fact is, like, she's out there. She's now got a mark on her back as the person who, like, was the Jezebel, to use your douchebag as well. But the fact is, I mean, what is she doing? Now, she's minding her own business, nothing. It's horrible for her. Now, I will say that I would like to set her up with my son, but otherwise, it's horrible for her.
But listen, she probably was
Douchebag.
he's a douche. But in defense of the woman who cheated with him, she was probably in her log cabin and she sees a guy ski by with a gun. She's like, wow, that is hot. That is sexy.
What could be more of an aphrodisiac?
Yeah. Like, I got to have that. I agree with you. It's a good point, though, about the woman who basically goes from like, you know, having this private problem to trending worldwide in like 30 seconds. You know, every time she meets someone now, they're gonna be like, oh, you're the girl he cheated on. Douchebag. Absolute douche.
Douchebags of the week. Easy calls this week.
Yeah, hopefully he'll get a Netflix movie out of it. There's been a lot of interesting stuff. I mean, we'll talk about hockey. Hockey is still up in the air, so maybe we'll save that for next week because that's been really fun to watch. But there's also been a lot of controversies and a lot of the big stories. As always, there are some good feel-good stories, but there's also a lot of heart-wrenching stories as well. Let's talk about some of the big moments for us in the Olympics. What we've watched, struck us.
In many ways, it's very much the ups and downs are like college war at camp. It really is.
Very similar.
Maybe not as intense as that, but it's very similar. All right, I have to talk to you, Paul, about figure skating. Okay?
That might be the first time you've ever said that. those words have ever come out of your mouth. All right, hit it.
Because, I wanted to watch it, and I was like, my wife is into it, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to watch it. And let's start by saying first principles. These are tremendous athletes, all right? The men and women, the way they move their bodies, the way they jump around, they're fantastic athletes, okay? So no one is disputing that. However, I just think the sport is crazy, and I can't take it seriously. First, as you point out, it's assessed by judging, which, again, is inherently subjective. And I just can't imagine, at least with the other major sports, it's one against the other. So what's the worst? You always say to me, what's the worst part about the NBA? You always tell me, I'm not going to test you. You always say the refs.
The inconsistency of the refs.
Okay. So that's like one part of this entire thing. With figure skating, it's the entire thing. Number two, I cannot take the announcers seriously. They take it so seriously when they're watching, when they're commentating. They're speaking in the hushed tones, and it's literally like they're trying to defuse a nuclear bomb. Okay, here he comes. Here he comes. He's coming. All right, he's going to take his triple Lindsay. Setting up. He nailed it. Breathtaking. I just can't take it seriously. It's not that big of a deal. Sports is supposed to be fun, not like this. Number three, the outfits. Okay, now the women's outfits are pretty flattering. They've been traditionally the same for many, many years. But I got to tell you, the men's clothing, the men's outfit is just awful. Joseph Abood would be turning over in his grave. I don't even know if he's dead, but I'm just saying, it's just horrible. They got the feathers, the rhinestones, they got the plunging necklines. I mean, they literally look like they just walked off a parade float. Okay, they're not flattering. They're not flattering. They have no give, and you know where. Okay, and they're like literally the speedos of jumpsuits. Okay, they just look
They
awful.
are.
They look awful. So I know no one's asking me, but just some thoughts. Okay, if you want a plunging neckline, what about a nice cashmere V-neck? You wear a nice cashmere V-neck, it's going to look gorgeous. You're going to look beautiful, okay? And if you really want to show moose knuckles, then just put on some skinny jeans, okay? Maybe even a swoosh on the shoe, on the skates. That would make the person look cool. But the way they look now is awful. Can't take them
They
seriously.
look like they're like
And
bedazzled onesies.
it's awful. How can you look at them and you're like, really? That's the best you could come up with? And it's just, I can't take it seriously. And now the last point. And was the sad story of the Olympics. And that is the story of Ilya Malinin, who is the American skater, also known as the Quad God. Okay, he gave himself that nickname. And he was the surest of the sure things, was ahead in all the preliminaries. And then he had his major presentation, I think is what it's called. It was the long skate. And he fell twice, didn't do some of the things he's famous for, ended up coming in 8th place. And what's interesting about this is if you saw him, his hair is magnificent. And that's just, that just kind of contradicts like my entire world, because I think people who have good hair, like i.e. Tom Brady, are going to be good at anything, right? And he just choked.
It's a leg up.
He choked. So let me ask you this, Paul. Do you think he choked?
Well, he definitely choked because it was mental, So I mean, it was not like he physically he screwed up. I watched it. He screwed up he did not make the first jump and just unraveled after that because you're trying to think of how to make up those points. He does have flowing hair. It's long and it's flowing, and maybe to your point, the aerodynamics of it threw him on that first jump. Maybe it has to do with the hair. But listen,
he's been trained.
Here's the thing. These guys train and train and train and train years and years, and then they get out there and in 3 or 4 minutes, it's all on the line. And if they make one bad move, it's over. So the pressure is probably unbelievable.
Okay.
And he withered. He withered.
Okay, can I just say this? Because I had this discussion with my sister, and I was saying to her, I think the guy choked. And she said, well, I said, I think it's like Simone Biles, not last Olympics, where she was great, but the one before where she choked as well. And to me, isn't part of being a champion being able to overcome that any kind of mental issue that you have? If you can't, nothing against you, but you're not a champion. Am I wrong?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, he's not an Olympic champion. The Olympics are different than world championships and so forth. They're every 4 years and they're on a bigger stage. He came in and the narrative was that he's one of the greatest skaters ever. He's the quad king and all this. And now the next Olympics is going to be his comeback. And in some ways it puts more pressure on him, but we'll see how he reacts.
He'll have to show.
If he can come back, then he is a champion, but it really was one of the biggest unravelings. And what happened was right off the bat, he did not get that first jump and everything is points. And so after that, he was trying to make it up and then he just kind of gave up mentally. So it was tough to watch. I saw it too. But, I'm a hockey fan, and I've always said, figure skating is tough. But imagine if there was another skater out there trying to check them while they did that. That would be exciting. That's like hockey.
Fantastic.
Someone chasing them around, trying to hit them. They go up for the quad. Someone takes out their knees. That's an exciting sport. Full checking figure skating. All right. I think that's a good one. I agree with you. I agree with you on the outfits, too. I think that the men's outfits just don't cut it. I mean, if Ilya had done 4 quads and landed them all, I would have been, that was amazing, buddy. You're a champion. But dude, next time maybe put on some pants. All right. My story, which I find really fascinating, is Penis Gate. I don't know if you've heard about Penis Gate at the 2026 games. This is a real thing. This is huge.
Well,
no pun intended. No pun intended. It's huge. So the rumor is that the male ski jumpers allegedly are injecting fillers, the same stuff women use in their lips, but they've done it in their schlongs to get a bigger bulge because their suits are custom fitted off a 3D body scan. And if you have more aerodynamic man bulge, you get more fabric, which means more lift, which means more distance. It traces back to the Norwegians again. and you've got these two
What's
guys.
going on in Norway?
They got a lot of snow and not and a lot of booze and not a lot to do. The- Marius Lundvik and Johan Andre Forfang, who already have gotten busted last year because their coaches were literally restitching the crotch of their suits like it was freaking Project Runway because they wanted more fabric. That's real. It really happened. So the rumor is skiers were like, oh, the tailoring has been caught. It's out. So let's just skip straight to cosmetic surgery. And honestly, if it's real, I was thinking it might be the most multifunctional performance enhancing thing in sports history. Because during the competition, you've got extra drag, you've got extra lift. You're basically like a freaking superhero. And then after the competition, everyone else is trading pins and awkwardly networking. And you just come in there with giant big dick energy, and we all know why. So it's funny
Yeah.
also that like they test for steroids and they test for blood doping, but like the next Olympics, they may have to like pull out a thing and test for the aerodynamics of every male's genitalia. And my final thing that I thought about this, which I thought was funny, I was like, can you imagine if Shaquille O'Neal had become a ski jumper? He'd freaking travel 1.5 miles and land in the Olympic Village. He'd be like a superstar. Oh my God, the Olympics. Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good. If this ever takes off, no pun intended, I was thinking you could actually, how like in boxing, they have heavyweights, middleweights, featherweights. You could start doing different classes or groupings
Right.
by inches, 3-inch, 3 to 7-inch, and
Yeah.
larger.
Yeah.
I don't want to say where I'd be, but it wouldn't be in the
What would be
plus
funny
6-inch.
is like, I want to go to ski jumping. I really want to go. They're like, 8 inches is sold out, but we got plenty of seats for 3-inch. There'd be no one in the crowd except for parents. Oh my gosh. They say that ski jumping in Norway is like the Super Bowl. It's their biggest sport, but it's just funny getting injections
Yeah.
in your dick. Oh, and did you hear about the other controversy, by the way? Their Canadian curling team was accused of cheating. Did you hear this?
I did hear
They-
this. I did hear this.
The guy, Mark Kennedy, I forget the second guy's name. They got caught
Like an
double
American?
touching. No, they're Canadians. They got caught double touching the stone.
Yeah.
Double touching the stone. Like that's the scam. Not steroids, not gambling, not blood doping. They may have double touched a rock. And the Swedish team went nuts. They literally were chirping. There were F-bombs flying back and forth. It was like a big deal. But honestly, it's interesting. No interest in curling until this. Like these curling people, they look like your neighbor Ted who drills in cargo shorts. They don't look like Olympic athletes. But all of a sudden there's like, secret videos and rivalries and expletives screaming and challenging each other. It's like, okay, man. And this is all over the drama of someone touching a big giant hunk of granite. It's like the only sport where cheating sounds like something you get into trouble for at Home Depot. It's not like a real sport otherwise. So at this point, I am for full escalation. I hope that it goes further. I want fights. I want again another Netflix, another document, a Netflix documentary, The Double Touch. Sounds like, which actually, as I say it out loud, The Double Touch. That could also be the name of the porn version. It's one of the few Netflix that could be both. So I mean, officially this could be the weirdest Winter Olympics in history between this and all right. I'm sorry, I went on a rant there.
That was great, consistent with your analogy about what it could be, the double touch. I'm like watching it, and as bad as it is, where I don't know, it just seems like, can you imagine how demeaning it would be? Like, you're the curler, but how about the people in front who are sweeping furiously in front of the rock? It's like they're like the fluffers. That's like it's like.
There's a lot of talent, I am sure, that involved in curling. It just doesn't, for what we're used to, it doesn't look as athletic. And I think that this makes it more interesting. I'm all for it. Let him double touch, let him, let him finger the rock. I'm all about it, And the Swede was so pissed. I don't blame him. He's training, he's sweeping, he's throwing stones, and this Canadian comes in, man. And I'm just happy it wasn't an American. People hate us enough.
Yeah.
People hate
Yeah,
us
yeah, yeah.
enough.
I mean, it is a crazy Olympics, but we've
And
obviously had some fun.
we've had some fun. Next week, I think we'll just touch on the hockey has been great. The women's hockey has been amazing. I was actually really impressed with them today. But we don't know who they're playing for the gold yet. And the men's team are going. So
Men's
let's
look
talk
great.
about that. The men, they look great. I mean, just the level of hockey, it's so much fun to watch. And it's a sport I understand. And I don't think anyone's injecting collagen into their penises. I think they're just playing the game. So moving along, and
Celtics, just a quick Celtics story. Quick Celtics story I wanted to
well, I
talk
mean,
about.
let's go. Let's talk about the Celtics. What did you want
All
to
right.
talk about?
So again, we thought we were going to move on from the Celtics, but every time every week there's something new. So All-Star break, Jaylen Brown, first time All-Star starter, does a tweet, posts a tweet in which he
I
puts
know. I
this
saw this.
year's this year's record versus last year's record and some of their stats and does a comparison. People took it as and I don't know if I don't think he meant it this way, but how do I know? It was sort of a see how we're just as almost as good and as we were last year, and we don't have Jason Tatum. That was how people took it, and they said, "Was this a shot at Jason Tatum?" I don't know. I think that's kind of reading too far into it, but I do. I love Jaylen Brown, and I wish Jason Tatum had a little bit more dog in him, like Jaylen Brown. The one thing but I oftentimes say, because I'm so wise, your greatest strength is your greatest weakness, and I think Jalen is like he goes for it. He is confident, etc. But one of the things I don't like about him is he has a super chip on his shoulder. And it's like he always is talking about how he's not respected. Well, Jalen, the Celtics drafted you number 3. I know you got booed by the fans, but had nothing to do with you as opposed to the situation. Then they gave you a new contract. Then he gave you another contract to make you the highest paid player in the NBA, which you clearly weren't one of the best players in the NBA. You got Finals MVP. You're starting in the All-Star game. I think I think you're getting your respect. Do you agree?
You know, sports has become people complaining about everything and nitpicking everything. I think he's just fired up. I think the team's doing well and he's stepping up. It's like for the first time ever, his team a little bit, and he's proud of what they're building. Not everything has to be like this huge soap opera to me. And sometimes a guy is just like, hey, we're good. Let's keep it rolling, whatever. But it did make me think of something, which I'm gonna now put to you. This is gonna take you off guard. It raises a question. So let me put it out there for you. If everything was flipped, if Jalen was the one who was injured this year and Tatum was playing with the exact same lineup, are they still
Very
winning at
good.
this level?
Oh,
Or
that's not where I thought you were going.
are they
Okay.
still winning at this level? Are they as good if the only difference is Tatum and Brown? Or is what we're seeing now proof that the team maybe is deeper or tougher, maybe a little more balanced than we thought they were? But I'm just saying, think about that. Jalen Brown hurts his knee. He's out for the season. Exact same team. Put Tatum in there, a healthy Tatum. Are they second in the East? Are they doing as well? What do you think?
So with Tatum, I have a hard time loving him, even though he's the best Celtic player. I don't. I think the ball sticks with him. As I've said before, I don't like the stuff he talks and thinks about. But he really is a great player. I have to tell you, I hate to duck this. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to that. I
That's
think they're the same team, but he does not. I don't feel like he makes other players better. Now he does before this year more than Brown, but I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
he's a
You know,
better outside shooter than Brown, I think. But going to the hoop, I wouldn't put him above Brown. I mean,
no, yeah,
and Brown, look,
better rebounder.
when they had a bad or disappointing season a few years ago, a lot of people were saying, "Hey, trade Brown." They're never going to win with these two guys together. Especially after they lost their first championship series to the Warriors, and those two guys really imploded, right? Brown and Tatum. They just were going one on one, dribbling off their feet. They just did not look uh, in control of the game. And people said, "Look, they're both out of control. We need stability." Do you remember that? And they weren't saying trade
Yeah,
Tatum; they were saying trade Brown, and he heard it.
yeah, yeah.
And Tatum had to come out, and Tatum said, "Hey, no, we got to keep this
You're
guy.
right.
We're going to do this together." So I think there is a little bit of a chip. He's never been considered the top guy in Boston. Yes, he has shown the respect, but I think that if he has a chip on his shoulder, great. Let's foster that chip. Let him be pissed off because it makes him play better. But it is an interesting point. I'm not sure they're as good with Tatum. I don't know. It's an interesting question. I certainly wouldn't be very hesitant to say they're better if Tatum was playing and Brown wasn't, you know?
Yeah,
So
I don't know. I don't know.
it's an
Well, we'll
it's
have
an
to see.
interest
We'll have
it's
to
an
see how things.
interesting
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
And we'll see what happens when Tatum comes back. It looks like he's gonna come back,
Yep.
you know?
Yep.
Did you
I
enjoy
agree.
the
I
NBA
agree.
All-Star game? Did you watch any of it?
I not even any of it. I don't care. And I heard it was better, but they're gonna have to prove it to me for me to start tuning in again.
Next week, we'll recap the final, for the hockey and the Olympics. We'll talk about maybe quickly anything else that possibly happened. We also have pitchers and catchers.
Pitchers and catchers reporting out
Do a
here
little
in
red
Arizona.
do a little red The spring training, I've been there in Arizona, it's tremendous. All the seats are great. You're seeing great baseball right up front, and it's the thing about it when you see it in Arizona, half the people there do have oxygen tanks in the crowd. It's an old crowd. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. There's a lot of oxygen tanks. So I wouldn't sit in the heat too close to one. I'm always like, what happens if one of those explodes? But I would definitely go, and I would check it out. You can scout.
All right.
Cubs are down
right.
there. But so next time we'll talk Red Sox. Like, subscribe. We need it. Roscoe, I'll catch you next week.
Love you, buddy.
All right, take care.